Well, I suppose it is a bit creepy down here with the lights off, isn't it?
It is actually, it is.
Not just creepy, a little bit kind of...
Can't even see
put
you,
the lights
silly.
on?
No, we can.
It's not particularly flattering with the uplighting, is it? But
No.
I mean, most of our sites aren't really that scary, but if you do turn off all the lights, it does start to sort of slightly encroach on you.
I tell you what would be a really good test, though, is whether you could manage to spend the night sleeping in the bunks without getting freaked out. That'd be quite...
tricky.
What's that?
Oh, it must be the Halloween episode.
Hello, my little pumpkins. Welcome to episode 9 of the Hidden London Hangouts for series 2. My name's Alex Grundon. Hello, it's Halloween, so we thought we'd spook you out a little bit. So we're going to go to some great places. We're going to hear about some of the possible ghosts on the tube. And of course, I don't do this on my own. I've got 3 amazing, rather spooky people from the London Transport Museum. First of all, a very blackened Chris Nix, looking very sinister there today.
Hello, Alex. Welcome to the Doom Dungeon.
Actually, do you know, that actually worries me slightly and rings frightening bells.
Alex, I'm joined by one of my cats in the background who's finally decided that he wanted to star in it. So please welcome Mags to the stage as well.
Amazing. Are we paying royalties on this one? I'm not entirely sure. Siddy Holloway joins us from Reykjavik in Iceland. But you still got your roundel.
I know, of course. I don't travel anywhere without my roundel these days, Alex. It's an essential item. Goes straight into my carry-on because I don't want anything to happen to it, of course. But yes, I'm reporting live from Reykjavik in Iceland.
Oh, I love it when she says it in a special language as well. And Laura Hilton-Brown, you're in Bromley, aren't you?
You know, I was just about to say, can I compete with the Doom Dungeon and Iceland? And it's a no. I don't think Bromley is remotely as cool. But I am sporting 2 little pumpkins here. My 2 kids love Halloween. So when I said we were doing a Halloween episode, they were desperate that I could have them in the set. And they also adorned Rapunzel here with some cobweb. Because what's Halloween without pumpkins and cobwebs, hey? Oh, do you know what's also quite crazy? Is the weather is super like wet and windy and wild. And you know, in films, whenever they're trying to do anything really scary and spooky, the rain's lashing down and it's dark. So I feel like we have the whole atmosphere going on here. So maybe that's what we can offer.
Oh, beautiful. Bad weather, cobwebs made of cotton wool and pumpkins that have been bowled out by effectively large spoons. This is what we need, isn't it? This is Halloween on a plate, courtesy of the Hidden London Hangouts. Well, as I say, today we're going to be a little bit spooky, but not too spooky, so don't be scared. But one of the things I was going to ask you, team, do you actually even believe in ghosts, Chris?
Well, I think it's undeniable when you're out and about on abandoned stations, you do feel the presence from time to time. So have an open mind.
So slightly lecherous people on the tour. And Siddy, what about you? What do you think?
Do you know what? I definitely do sometimes feel a little bit sort of, maybe not uneasy, but I think especially when you're in disused places and then you get like those pockets of like air coming through and it makes like a wind sound and you're sort of alone and it's sort of like, and there's definitely been times where I'm like, right, should we maybe go now or now? So yeah, I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but I think I do.
Wow,
that's a good answer, isn't it? Really.
And Laura, have you ever experienced a whoosh in a confined space?
Absolutely. I think it was episode 1 in the first series, and I got a little bit overexcited talking about energies and spirits and ghosts and things. I am always the first one of the team whenever we're on a site visit anywhere and we're chatting to people to ask about what's the spookiness level of this station, or what have people reported, or do you believe it? Has anything happened to you? And sometimes people aren't interested in telling you. They're trying to work, I'm just annoying them. And other times they love being asked those questions and they'll give you loads of information. And I genuinely, absolutely love hearing about those kinds of stories, because we've said throughout this whole series, every single station that we visit, it's got story, it's got history, and if people have sheltered down there or worked down there, you know, that there's layers of history there to go at, and that there's always going to be something exciting about different energies, or like Chris alluded to then, that there's a presence of some kind. So absolutely, this is right up my street.
Right up your snicket.
It's right up my street.
I love the fact you've got a steaming cup of something as well. It does sort of add
I
to
know.
the mood.
I was just thinking that. I was
could
like,
see that. But,
yeah, you could see the steam.
You've got your steaming cup, and Chris Nix has got a lemsip, so it's doing really, really well. But I have to say this, you know, I do think that the house that I live in is haunted. Because,
tell us more.
Well, it's really weird because when we first moved in, my mum came round, and my mum is incredibly sensitive to all these sort of things. And she said, do you know what? She said, there's a really lovely vibe about this place. There's a really warm feeling about this place. Mum was very cryptic about how she described it. Anyway, drop of curtain denotes lapse of time. And I noticed every so often when I was going to the loo in the middle of the night, you'd get like a cold draft beside you on the stairs as I went to the bathroom. And I thought, that's a bit weird, you know, did I leave a window open, anything like that? It's all, I don't know, didn't really think much of it. And then we sort of got a little bit more puzzled by this behaviour. So we decided to get one of those, you know, those overnight recording devices that you record your sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I completely freaked myself out because I heard a woman's voice on it in the middle of the night. And it wasn't any voice that I know. There are no ladies living here, obviously. And so there was a very, very strange sort of situation created itself. It completely freaked me out. And this is what I did.
Your cat?
No, it wasn't the voice of a sort of pussy cat. It was a clear voice of a woman.
Oh
and so I don't know why I did this, but one Friday morning, I decided to stand at the top of the stairs, and, you know, it was daylight, it was all fine. And I just said out loud, I said, I don't know who you are or what you're doing here, and I don't mind you being here, but do not ever let me see or feel or hear you again, okay? And I have to say, I have never experienced anything since. That happens occasionally. I don't know what that's all about. Occasionally the lights do flash. But
oh my God.
Yeah, it's all a little bit freaky.
That'll be that burial ground that your house is built on. Yeah. Yeah. That
and the riverbed as well. That's always really good. But I don't know. You see, so I am quite sort of gently open-minded to the fact that I might be having to share this place, not just for rent.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
And you've always said, haven't you, as well, Laura, about Aldwych, that your favourite station, that there is something slightly weird about Aldwych, isn't there?
Well, there are rumours of a lady singing, and obviously Aldwych was built on the old Royal Strand Theatre. And I don't know if it's kind of like a scary or a sad presence. I think it's just a presence, and not necessarily kind of a negative one. But I've spoken to a lot of people about Aldwych, and we've spent a lot of time there as well. And there's a lot of people that work down there that have genuinely kind of come back up to the surface after working down at platform level and have said, you know, that there was something there. We weren't alone. And I think, yes, kind of, you know, stories can kind of snowball and become kind of, you know, a little bit over embellished. But I think, you know, when a few people have said the same thing, like there's no smoke without fire. There's something in that for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very interesting.
I think somebody once told us it's that you hear the steps of somebody wearing high heels down the corridor down towards the platform. So sort of a click, clack, click, clack. And then because when you go to one of the platforms, it's all bricked up. But when there's a train that goes past at Holborn, it creates this like pressure. And so you just hear this like whoosh sound coming all the way down from Holborn through there. I think it just freaks people out. But wasn't there a time when one of the guys that routinely works there, Law, that he turned everything on, like all the lights and everything on downstairs, and then he went up and then everything just turned itself off for no reason?
Yeah, I think I've definitely heard that too. And I think when it's people that you work with, and you know them, and you kind of, you know, they're not messing around or fooling with you, you kind of think, hang on a minute, there is something in this, there must be.
I just can't imagine going down a tube and getting everything turned on. It freaks me out, actually, the thought of that.
Does it really?
It does.
Surprises me.
Well, I'm just thinking chance would be a fine thing. But anyway, I decided to send the team to Clapham South. I get the willies very easily. So I thought, I don't want to be doing this myself. So I sent the team of 3 down to Clapham South. And there's always been a question mark in my mind. Whenever I've been down there, I never feel like I'm alone. And so I get a little bit jittery about Clapham South. But the team, they're robust. They're like Scooby-Doo and co. So they went down there because there's a little question about the lights, isn't there, Mr. Nix?
Yes, let's have a look at what happened when we tried to see if we could replicate our question of the lights when we visited there.
So ever since we had the lights replaced and put back to original in Drake, I've noticed that occasionally they do something a bit weird. And the first few times it did it, they did freak out. Let's see.
She's just trying to scare us.
If they're going to do it. Yeah. It's going to be weird if they do. So they'll come on, and then once or twice I've just kind of set off walking and have gone off. I don't want to do it today, have I? And there was one time I did. Oh,
What's that?
okay, they're multiplying.
It's like a little pumpkin trail, guys.
So no to the spooky lights today, but yes to the pumpkins.
So, Laura, I thought you only took 1 pumpkin to Clapham South.
Well, weirdly, they kind of kept multiplying while we were down there. It was rather strange.
Is it like one of those, I know some of those old shelters have been turned into herb factories and things like that. You're not growing pumpkins down there, are you?
It's our new business plan for Hidden London to create a pumpkin farm at Clapham now.
I love that. It does just feel spooky down there. It really does feel incredibly spooky. But
You know what's a shame though is that the lights on that occasion, because I think every other time Chris has been there by himself, they have flickered and spooked him out, and he really wanted it to happen because Siddy and I were with him, and they didn't. And I thought that's just our luck, isn't it? That as soon as he's with other people, they don't do their scary flickering.
Yeah,
don't do that troublesome thing. Go on, Chris.
It's one of those things where it's done it to me on 3 or 4 different occasions since we had those new lights put in earlier in the year, and I felt good that it was going to do it on this occasion. It's on one occasion, I switched the lights on. I'd walked about 3 meters down the shelter, and it went off, and I was like, right. So Laura's not here, Siddy's not here, so it's not somebody mucking around. And I walked back, and they came back on without me touching the switch. I was like, all right, fair enough. Set off back down the shelter, and they went off again. At that point, I was like, oh, okay, something's mucking around here. So yeah, that's my record. I've only have it gone off twice, but it's quite unsettling when you're there and you're around.
I mean, yeah, immediately I'd be ringing the electrician and saying, I think you've left a loose connection here. Whenever I move around, there's built in the lights flicker. Scary, scary stuff. And of course, down there, they made the most of their time in Clapham South because they certainly had their 1 pumpkin. And I think you quite enjoyed just riffing and exchanging ghostly stories while I wasn't going to sit there squealing. So let's take a look at that.
So I think we've definitely established that it's quite creepy down here with the lights off, haven't we? So
I know. I think
we're in a 3 pumpkin situation here now.
situation.
Thanks,
Oh, lights on.
Well, welcome to our Halloween special, everyone.
We often get asked on a lot of our tours, don't we? A lot of our guides say that a lot of people are interested in the kind of ghosts and the ghouls and the urban myths. And we don't really go into depth in the tours about that, so we thought we'd use this episode, and I'm going to ask each of you for your favourite ghost story, please, guys.
Well, there are quite a few, and there's all these myths about, the tube being built on plague pits or in crypts or whatnot. I mean, it is inherently a little bit creepy being down in the underground, especially alone.
Absolutely.
Or at night. And people do often ask us if we ever get scared. We don't normally. There
We
have
managed to
been.
spook each other out today doing this.
It does,
Yeah,
it does
we did,
sometimes
we did.
happen. Now, my favourite ghost story is probably the one of William Terrace, who is the ghost of Covent Garden Station, our home station for the London Transport Museum. It's said that he haunts the corridors of Covent Garden, and he wears a top hat and kind of walks around there. He was murdered very close to the station, or the site of the station, in 1897, and apparently he still kind of roams around and has startled quite a few tube workers. What about you, Chris?
Well, I don't think it's a specific ghost story, but I've heard people talk about Aldwych having kind of a presence, and people there who've worked there a lot on their own feel that there's something there. It's got kind of long corridors. It's very echoey, and people describe sort of catching things in the corner of their eye, or just feeling like they're not on their own there.
Or the footsteps.
There's been recording of tappings, that kind of like I guess synonymous with scary, ghouly, ghosty Halloween things, but that kind of, the tapping of the footstep. And I guess if you are working down underground for long periods of time and it is quite dark, your eyes and your mind are going to play tricks on you. But we've all heard from a lot of people that work underground that they don't feel like it was a trick and there was some kind of presence or energy. And it's hard not to kind of, believe that. And
none of us have felt anything here in our time down here, and it's a big place where it's very easy to be on your own here. And even with the lights off, it's always had kind of a safe feel to this place for me. Because it's designed to look after people.
As soon as you are on your own, though, I think you were saying this before, weren't you, Siddy? Because I've only ever been down here with one of you guys, or both of you, or other people. I know, Chris, you've spent a lot of time down here by yourself. Say no more.
Very lonely.
No. Doing a lot of work and preparation, and that must be really. Is that not eerie? Is that?
You don't get used to it.
No, I don't know if I would.
Whistle to yourself or whatever it is you're moving around.
I would say
helps.
the only thing is when you're walking, if you turn all the lights off, like we used to have to do here, if you turn the lights off and you've got just a torch lighting your way there, as you move past some of the bunk beds, it's just the fact that the shadows move with you as you've got the thing, so you suddenly start sort of doing like that, even though you know there's nothing there. It's just the fact that your mind kind of plays a trick on you because you're moving and the shadows move with you. That feels like somebody's sometimes there. Not my favourite.
I also, quite recently, we were checking into a station, and do you remember there was one of the staff was talking about how they'd heard that during the lockdown situation when the station was empty, that the fire alarms went off, and when they checked CCTV, the flap lifted, and then the alarm went off.
And they were certain as well, weren't they? They were convincing me for sure.
And Chris was like, "Oh, that's just the draft, the wind," and he was like, "No, it
Not to
wasn't."
press the button as well.
Powerful wind.
So there you go. There are quite a few ghost stories, and we will talk about them back at the studio. But just as an atmosphere, we decided to sit here and enjoy the sound of
And now we're going to
underground.
binge on chocolate.
Let's go.
Chris, were you down there on your own, the three of you? No one else?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, so on that film, something comes in front of the screen.
Oh, don't, Alex.
The projection screen, on the bottom right, something moves on that screen. It was a still, wasn't it? It's not a moving film on that screen.
Yeah.
Something moved.
One of our films, yeah.
Something moved at the bottom right hand of the screen.
Well, I did see Laura and Siddy kind of.
No, it was something else.
Partway through that, but yeah.
It was something else. I just beware. I just noticed it at my eye corner, and I studied it, and something's moving in the bottom of that screen. Anyway,
we were focused on the true spirit of Halloween, which was eating loads of chocolate.
But you know what the problem is? We mess around with each other sometimes, and like prank each other or try and scare each other. And then, occasionally something does genuinely scare you, and you're like, "Is that one of the others messing around, or is that something else?" And And so that, for me, that happens quite a lot because these guys are always trying to prank me, and then I save it up and try and prank them back. But you never quite know if it's someone messing around or if it is something happening.
Well, all three of you were in shot. That was the thing. All three of you were in shot, and something moved. And I thought that's not the case. I mean, it's not like the dummy at the London Transport Museum that we tried to put in your way, Laura. It's a really freaky dummy. If you go down to the Acton Depot, there is somebody who's supposed to be dressed as a conductor, and it is the most terrifying. It's like Child's Play, the film. It is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And we decided to shift this dummy into Laura's way when she was walking along, and Laura's a bit of a screamer, and it was quite a lot of fun. Anyway, back to the ghost stories. So we must have a few more. Anybody for this? Any more stories? Anybody?
Well, there's quite a few good ones. There's Liverpool Street has got one, which is that people have reported seeing kind of shadowy figures on CCTV when the station's empty, kind of moving around to and fro on the platforms at night. And I'm pretty sure Liverpool Street's one of these ones where it's built on a kind of mass burial. And as Sidney alluded to earlier, there's a number of these ones. A bank has a similar thing where there's a site of a mass grave, although it is a bit inconsistent. So there's a mass burial down in Southwark as well. I'm not aware that London Bridge or Southwark Station, which are nearby that pit, if I have that report, or for example the plague pit that the Piccadilly line goes through at South Ken. Between South Ken and where Brompton Road was. I'm not aware that either of those stations had kind of reports of seeing things there.
Wow. When you say a play pit, you mean like a ball pool?
No, very different things. Not a lot of fun in the play pits. No.
Okay. Look, one of the things I was going to say to you, Sidney, was when I'm down the tube, I tend to find desolate tunnels. Even ones that are in use, I find terrifying. And there's one between the Bakerloo line and the Northern line at Charing Cross, and it sort of diverts around the old Charing Cross Jubilee line platforms. It's very flat, very long, and I can get quite easily freaked out on that tunnel because it's well lit. It's just there's no reason to be, but I get really scared going down there.
I know. I think it's because it's quite confined. It's quite a small kind of tunnel, and it's not built with like a huge capacity. So it does feel a little bit creepy. I mean, it depends if you're alone walking down there, or if if it's at rush hour and you've got plenty of people around. The one that always slightly freaks me out is the one just one station south from there, which is Embankment. The old corridor between the Northern Line and the Bakerloo there. Or is it the Northern Line and the other Northern Line? So the southbound and the northbound. It's got those green tiles kind of all the way there. And there's something like, you kind of never see people interchanging there. So if you do walk up it, it just feels like you're walking into some sort of, I don't know, like a set of a potential thriller.
But could you imagine it sounds like my idea of heaven, actually. If you imagine walking down that green and white tiled tunnel, and you had a shadowy figure comes across one end of the tunnel, and then another one at the other end.
I've
realised. I'm so sorry. I was actually just recounting a fantasy. I'm so sorry. But Chris, you. Do you know? I'm so sorry. I'm quite tired, and there's obviously a lot going on in my head at the moment. Chris, you were saying as well, weren't you, that actually sometimes worse than the more scary thing about a lot of the venues is not having nobody down there, but encountering somebody down there.
Yeah, I guess the thing which really can put the wind up you is encountering people that you don't know are down there. So it might be either people who shouldn't be in those disused spaces, or colleagues who you just don't know are there, as well as colleagues who know that you're there and are deliberately trying to make you jump. Not that obviously we do that to each other. But it can be very unnerving if you suddenly hear footsteps and you think you are supposed to be alone and you're suddenly not. We've had that happen once or twice at some of the sites that we've been at where there's been people in there who shouldn't have been in there. And that's definitely not fun. But
I love that phrase that you've come up with as well. It just makes me put the wind up you.
yeah.
I don't know what the origin of that is, but I love it.
I do also. Siddy's talking about the long dark passageway could be kind of the scene of a thriller. I've realised we've missed a trick with this one. We should have used that passageway and flash mobbed to do thriller. You know.
Oh, totally. Next year, perhaps, with a Hidden London Hangout. Funnily enough, because I knew that this was slightly sensitive in terms of the subject matter, because not everyone's cup of tea, I actually bought makeup. I went and bought black and white makeup, and I thought, I ain't doing this. This is a little more sensitive than pumpkins and chocolate. You know, we're doing a bit more than this today. But it's interesting because this week, Mr. Nix and I, and then Laura joined us. We did some filming in two amazing locations that you're going to see, one next week and one before Christmas. We went to the Bakerloo Line lift shaft tunnels from Piccadilly Circus, which have never been filmed before. You're going to see them first on the Hidden London Hangouts. We also went, which is what we're going to talk about next week, to Trafalgar Square Station, the old Bakerloo Line station, and what is left of it. And while we were there, Chris, we noticed something which was frighteningly timely, didn't we?
We did. Sometimes the staff who work down there at night bring these things on themselves. Yeah, take a look at this. Because things really are quite scary at the moment, aren't they?
It's very, very eerie. Very, very eerie. And I have to say, even the door looked scary, and this is all going to be seen on the Hangouts next week. We really can't wait for you to see that, because this is all brand new, sexy footage of a place which has been thoroughly under lock and key for many, many years, and we were delighted and a little bit scared to go in there. So that's next week. Well done, everybody. I think we've managed to keep it together. We haven't caused any kind of issues in our underwear, have we, with all of this? It's all good.
No, we have not. At least I hope not. I think we've stayed pretty clear on the subject, haven't we?
I think we did. And can I just say, by the way, would this not be the perfect Halloween moquette, Misha Black?
Ooh,
is it not
nice.
pumpkin orange?
Yeah.
I thought this earlier. I thought, my goodness, Misha Black even did a Halloween moquette. This is fantastic. And Laura, we haven't scared you too much, have we? I know you made a strong stuff.
No, not too scared this evening. I think, like you said before, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Whether you believe or you don't believe, you think it's fun or not fun. What we've tried to do today is just kind of unpick some of those ghost stories, some of the more prominent ones across the Tube network. And, you know, if you Google or you look online at ghost stations, it doesn't necessarily mean it's haunted. A ghost station for a lot of people is just an abandoned or disused station. And so there's kind of a couple of meanings for ghost stations as well. But I know today we were looking more at the kind of fun element of the kind of ghostly nature. I can see Alex doing something. Oh,
Look, I've got my little
black.
Hello. Meet Gizmo, everybody. Meet
Hello, Gizmo.
Beautiful Gizmo. Oh, he's so beautiful. He's so beautiful. He falls asleep on the stool in the kitchen. It's hilarious. He just keeps me safe. So you're beautiful. Let me pop you over there. You're gorgeous. See, you want equity fees now. It's always the way. Always the way.
It's bring your pets to work day. Here's my raven.
Raven what?
Here's my raven. I thought he would make a good addition.
Two pussies and a raven. I'm loving this. Laura, you just need to bring something next week. It's going to be fantastic. And actually, when it comes to notes, queries and questions, we've got some really cool stuff. First of all, hello to Jeff Baker. I know you're a regular viewer of the Hidden London Hangouts, and he loves them. And what he does for us every week, without us even having to ask him, he posts the Hidden London Hangout on the Facebook Underground page. So we get extra viewers as a result of Jeff. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Well done,
really
Jeff.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Really cool guy. So thank you so much for that. Well worth a mention. Also, do you remember, Laura, when we did the tile episode, I think it was episode 2 or 3 of this series, we asked people to send in photographs of them standing by their favourite bit of tile work on the Tube.
We did, didn't we? I remember that now.
Well, you'll be delighted to know, because Chris has got a picture of Mark, one of our viewers, and he is a bit of a fan of Totty Court Road.
That's
Chris,
a
tell
great
us about the tiles.
Well, it's fantastic. Yeah, he's photographed himself against the Palazzi tiles there, and for a bonus point, is wearing a face mask in the pattern of, well, which line does that belong to?
Anybody? I know, but
Piccadilly line. Piccadilly
ding,
line.
Well done.
ding.
Yeah, the
I
square
love that.
Piccadilly.
I love that. Well done. So this is all good stuff. So thank you very much indeed to Mark as well. Well done, and keep watching. We love the fact that you interact with us. It's brilliant. And also, there's another amazing person who has kind of introduced herself to us very, very quickly because she's been watching it for ages, but she wanted to say hello. And it's Samantha Elmhurst, and she's really cool because there's two angles to this. Number one, if you like cats, she's got a beautiful rescue cat from Cyprus, but she's also a bit of a dab-am with a paintbrush. And Chris, she's been making her very own homegrown cartouche.
Yeah, I mean, we're big fans of tiling, but wow, when this one dropped, this message dropped into my feed, I was blown away. Let's take a look at this.
Right, the lettering is going on. Here we go. I was so chuffed with this. It's just a bizarre, mad, quirky idea I had last night watching this delightful series, Hidden London Hangouts. And I thought, I know what I can do. So, I'm doing it. It's lovely, very relaxing. On a Sunday afternoon, listening to a bit of jazz in the background.
See, I think I need a lover with an easy touch, not a slow hand, but she's very, very steady, isn't she, Samantha? She's very, very good. And we do actually get to see the end product, don't we? Because she finished it in a day.
Yeah, time for the big reveal.
Drum roll, please. Ta-da! It's a cartouche.
That is really cool, isn't it? And I'm loving the fact the old Misha Black just drops, and all of a sudden you see this amazing cartouche. Hasn't she done well?
All coming in there, just beautiful.
And it gets even better because the third picture she sent us is of a London Transport Museum bounty. And my goodness, if you think we like Moquette, she's loving a bit of it. And she's got a light box and everything. And we get to see the beautiful honeysuckle, the rescue cat. So let's have a look at that, Chris.
Oh, wow.
Look at little honeysuckle down there as well.
Oh,
how cool is that?
That's
wow,
amazing.
that's amazing.
Every home should have a cartouche.
Absolutely.
I love that our fans have been inspired now to start doing this stuff. It's just brilliant. That really gave me a boost when I saw that last Sunday.
It's great, isn't it? And is there a bit of Straub down there as well? That blue and green moquette underneath the roundel, Chris?
Yeah, so you've got Hidden London book, a bit of Straub, and then Misha Black cushion and Misha Black throw, all going
lovely
on.
And a bit of honeysuckle that blends in beautifully with the Misha Black as well. And of course, when we talk about a cartouche, it's that thing that says exit. All right, so in case you're just wondering whether it's some sort of silver gongy cloche for revealing food, it's not one of those.
As we've mentioned before, cartouche stands for kind of an opening, and it refers to Egypt, or it's Egyptian. Well, we've got a connection with Egypt and ghosts on the underground, because apparently, well, there's a story that there was a ghost of a mummy from the British Museum that haunted the disused British Museum station for many years. It's said to be the ghost of Amun-Ra, who was an Egyptian king, and a mummy that was brought to the British Museum, away from his homeland, and therefore was rather cross and wanted to make his presence known. So that's one of the ghost stories that we have in the underground.
Rah! I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Well, anyway, there you go. So a little bit of a canter through our delightful ghost Halloween special. Thank you very much indeed for going with us on this little spooky journey. It's been great. Don't forget, we need you to follow us on Instagram. So it's Alex Grunton, Chris Nix, Siddy Holloway, Laura Brown, and also LT Museum. All right, make sure that you follow us all. If you've got a question about the London transport system, or indeed any of the things that we cover, we've even done Route Master buses and tiles and moquette and all sorts. If you've got any questions at all, just ask us, slip into our DMs, and we'll try and get you an answer in a subsequent episode. We want to hear about what you're up to as well. If you're painting, if you're buying, if you're making stuff out of moquette, we want to hear about it. Show us some pictures as well. And also on YouTube, make sure that just below you like and comment, and also subscribe to the LT Museum YouTube channel. And make sure every week at 6 on a Saturday, you join us for the live chat, because in addition to the actual hangout, we also chat along as well as it goes out. So loads and loads of ways to get involved. Chris Nix, thank you so much for being part of this today.
Thank you. It's been very atmospheric.
Where did that come from? Siddy, thank you very much. Obviously, the seat I'm sitting on, I'm so sorry about that. Siddy, thank you very much indeed. You're looking amazing.
Oh, thank you very much, and happy Halloween, everyone. Apparently this is a very special Halloween, because there's not only a full moon, it's also a blue supermoon, and so there should be plenty of energies working onto our body tonight.
Oh, when I was a kid, I used to love a supermoon. They were little mooses, weren't they? Used to love those, like a Viennetta. Laura, thank you so much as well.
Absolute pleasure. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. It's such a lovely, curious part of kind of subterranean London. You know, what's happened and happening beneath our kind of feet and the streets. And I hope it's just a little exploration into a kind of really nice theme.
I'm so glad. And before we go, I just wanted to say one thing. We get so many really lovely messages about how we have helped you get through coronavirus and lockdown and everything else, and giving you something to look forward to on a Saturday. And I just wanted to let you know that it's exactly the same for us, because we've had all of our own struggles as well. And it's not easy, life at the moment, and you help us. So thank you very much indeed for your company. We really appreciate it, and you keep a smile on our face and give us something to do, which somehow means something to you. So thank you very much. Next week, we're going to Trafalgar Square Station. This is part of Charing Cross, but it's very, very important that you understand this is Trafalgar Square. Dates back to 1906. An amazing, amazing little time capsule, and we're going to be there next week. So in the meantime, have yourself a great day and stay safe.
Mwah.
God, that's scary, isn't it?